All right, we are live. Hello, hello, and welcome everybody. Today's show is packed with all you need to know about immigration. President-elect Joseph R. Biden has said that one of the first priorities will be to roll back Trump's restrictive immigration laws. And in the past 4 years, we've seen travel ban on Muslim countries, separating families at the border, the 400 miles of the U.S.-Mexico border wall, and a whole lot of other things that we're going to be discussing with the experts today. And for people that don't know, Nigeria, and I'm sure they'll correct me later on in the show if I'm wrong, Nigeria is actually on Trump's ban list, and I believe that list was actually extended back in February of this year. And on this season 2 finale on the News with Obi, in collaboration with Tribex Marketing, Harrison Nwozo, shout out to you. I am joined by Ejiogu and Associates. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Thanks, Obi, for having us.
Thank you. I have Mr. NEDUM Ejiogu. He's an attorney at law, a member of the New Jersey Bar and the Federal District Court of New Jersey. And we have Charles Ejiogu, attorney at law, admitted to the New York Bar and Federal District Court. And welcome you guys to the show.
Thank you.
My name is Obi, and this is the News with Obi, where we talk about all things politics, current affairs happening in our local community and around the world. All right, we are back on. And if you are just joining us, thank you for taking the time out on your Saturday to be here today. We are going to dedicate a part of the show for questions. So feel free to type in any questions that you have later on. So I'm going to start off with the first question. In general terms, what are some of the fundamental immigration policy changes that we are to expect to see with the incoming Biden administration?
Okay, first of all, we expect a resurgence of legal immigration. We expect a fairer, more humane, and more dignified immigration policy from the incoming Biden administration. From policy pronouncements, what we have seen on his website and talks during the campaigns, we know that there will be sweeping changes in immigration law that is pro-immigrants. We expect DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, to be reinstated, wherein there will be new applicants. As you know, new applicants were not allowed.
Right.
The old applicants were allowed to renew their work permits. But we expected that the Biden administration will allow new applicants.
Yeah.
We expect that the obnoxious policy of separating children from their parents at the border will be reversed.
Right.
We expect that the refugee process and procedure will be revisited. As you know, there's a policy of not allowing the refugees apply for asylum within the borders of the United States, taking them to third-party countries. That we expect will be reversed. Then, of course, the H-1B program, which has been rolled back. There has been some legal pushbacks, but we expect that the H-1B will be fully reinstated. There are several others. I'm going to allow Charles to chime in, but like I said, we expect a fairer and more humane immigration policy.
So, Mr. Charles, let me ask you this. So what legal procedure measures can be used by President-elect Biden to actually make these changes?
It's a good question. Well, depending on what happens, obviously, in the Congress, as far as, if the Democrats are able to take over the Senate, obviously there can be laws passed. However, all of these measures that Trump has put into motion is actually done through executive order. So Biden can do the same thing. He can use the same mechanism, use the executive order, and reverse all these things that that Trump has done so far. So, I mean, I think that's probably where he'll go with it. As you know, under Obama, DACA was created as an executive order. That's probably the route that Biden will go. In fact, I'm sure that's the route he'll go.
Yeah, because right now, the House is actually majority Republican, so Biden probably might not be able to get a lot done if he doesn't use executive order. Am I right?
That's correct. We also expect presidential proclamations.
Right, but we're hoping that
Yeah. You want to go ahead?
Correct.
Yeah, we expect presidential proclamations.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing with the
regulations
with the election that's going on in Georgia. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mr. Charles. Finish up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. So what I was saying is, with the election going on in Georgia for the 2 Senate seats, if the Democrats win those 2 Senate seats, they will take control over the Senate, and therefore they already have the House of Reps. So Biden can get anything done that he wants regarding immigration. And I'm sure that a lot of voters will hold him to that. So we're looking for that. We're going to see what's going to happen in Georgia.
Yeah, and Mr. NEDUM, you wanted to add to that as well?
No, I just wanted to add some of the processes that can be used, the legal processes. I talked about presidential proclamations. I talked about agency regulations in addition. And of course, policy memoranda.
And now this next question will most likely be people that are watching internationally will be interested in this question, because the Trump administration significantly rolled back the H-1B program, and they were arguing that it displaces qualified American workers for employment. Is this a valid claim? And what has the Biden administration said they will do differently about this?
I think it's an invalid claim. The two persons, Biden and Trump, I think they see immigration from a different prism. For Biden, immigration is an asset. It can be used to boost the economy, enhance its productive capacity. As a matter of fact, there was a study done by the Hamilton Project indicating that foreign labor force contributes $2 trillion to the U.S. economy. So Biden sees diversity as a strength, sees immigration as economy boosting, and will contribute to the vitality of the socio-economic fabric of the society. So that dynamism, that diversity can be achieved by with immigration. As you know, legal immigration was cut down 49%.
Oh, wow, that's huge.
Under Trump. And Biden is determined to have all that reversed.
Yeah.
So the H-1B visa is a veritable tool for boosting U.S. economy. So we expect all the stringent standards, the hurdles that were laid that has made the H-1B policy difficult. We expect all those barriers to be removed.
What about what about a green card? So can someone with an H-1B visa obtain a green card? Mr. Charles, you can take this question.
Sure. Yeah. Of course. Oh, go ahead, NEDUM.
No, but well, I'll let you. But just keeping on the track of the H-1B and employment-based visas. The H-1B visa is an employment-based visa for specialty occupations. And employers wishing to confer permanent residency status on H-1B holders can go through a process called labor certification.
Okay.
In order for them to get a green card.
Correct.
It just means that if there are no similarly situated, similarly qualified US workers, that green card can be given to those H-1B holder if they meet the criteria. So that's one of the ways they can get green cards. So Charles, you can go ahead with the rest.
Yeah, so exactly what he said is definitely correct. And another way they can do it, obviously, is the same ways that are open to most visitors would be, through marriage. Married, so obviously they're married U.S. citizen. They can also their green card that as well. But the certification, like NEDUM did say, it's a very difficult thing to achieve, but it's doable, depending on how unique that position is. But definitely, those are the two main ways that they can get their green card, through marriage or through labor certificate.
And also citizen relatives, if they do have citizen parents, citizen children.
Correct.
They can also obtain green card in that way. And there are some other employment-based immigrant visas, like
is asylum one of them? That's a whole different thing. The asylum seeking for getting.
Oh yes, there are asylums. They can also seek asylum. That's one of them. But the other employment-based methods that can be resorted to are what I refuse to describe as aliens. That's one word that I don't like. So I'll say foreign nationals.
Right.
With extraordinary ability in the science and arts, and exceptional ability aliens.
Yeah.
Outstanding professors and researchers. If they have all those qualifications, that's another employment-based avenue for getting a green card.
Now, let me ask you this. I don't think this was part of the questions I was going to ask. So I know Trump has a good relationship with Narendra Modi of India. These same restrictions, with the H-1B visa, has it been applied to everybody across the board, or is some kind of favoritism being played here? In your opinion, I guess this would be an opinion question.
Charles, you want to take that?
Yeah, it definitely feels like there's been favoritism. Yeah, I was just saying, it definitely feels like there's been favoritism, across the, in the distribution of the H-1B. So, but obviously there's nothing you can't really. At least I haven't seen it up close to say that yes, that it's definitely been favoritism, but you get that feeling that there is. So, but we'll see what happens under Biden. I think things are gonna kind of get back to normal under Biden. So, it'll be very, very useful tool down the line. Right now, it's very, very funny right now, but it's going to get back to normal from what we can see anyway. So.
And for people joining us, thank you so much for tuning in. If you are watching on YouTube, I think I'm able to see your questions now. Before I couldn't. So if you have any questions, please type them in so that we can answer those questions. They can answer those questions for you. All I do is read the questions out. But continuing with the questions that we have today, when it comes to what is the difference between a non-immigrant visa and an immigrant visa for people that want to travel to the U.S.?
Yeah, immigrant visas are simply green cards. Permanent residents.
Okay.
Non-immigrant visas are temporary visas.
I see.
An example is the H-1B we just talked about, the B1, B2 visa, the F students visa. So they are just non-permanent residence visas. They are just temporary visas.
I know you guys probably can't answer this, but what is the easiest way for somebody to move to the US. It's like, what is the easiest way now?
Charles, you want
You
to
like
take that?
move permanently, or you mean as far as
I mean, I know
stay here?
people that have been coming in with visitor
Yeah, sure.
visas. But,
So
uh, Mr. Charles, go ahead.
sure. Well, visitor's visa, yeah, visitor's visa is probably the easiest way to get to America, but it's not easy from every country.
Right.
Using Nigeria as a prime example, thousands of people get denied, visitors, obviously. And under Trump, it was even worse,
Mm.
where people that we normally had their visitors visa where they just had to renew it, they were getting denied. So, it's not easy to get. You got to show a lot of different things to make sure that you can actually get a visa. So I would say that would be the easiest way, but again, it's easy, so it's kind of a tough situation for people trying to come in, especially now.
Especially now. And we have questions coming in. Yay, Wendy C. I see your question and I have it up. She is asking, can one begin applying for immigrant visas for Nigerians now, or should we wait for till after inauguration?
Well,
Good question. You're gonna have to
that's a
wait.
good,
You're gonna have to wait.
yeah. I think you have to wait.
Wendy, they're saying you have to wait. Chill out, my sister. Just wait for a little bit and till Biden is fully inaugurated and with or without a concession speech. We'll wait till January 20th. And I have another question from Gentle Giant. He is saying, I am a 10 years permanent resident in the US with 4 of my children still in my home country. Is it possible to start the process of filing for their green card now that Biden will take over the presidency?
Yes, I think you can go ahead and do the filing because before, can you hear me?
Yes, we're here.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think the
Yeah.
filing can be initiated. Whatever damage the current administration is capable of doing, I don't think they will get to that. After they leave, then
Correct.
the processing will still be going on, and it will go on under Biden administration. So if you want to start today, you can go ahead. I don't think
Correct.
the outgoing administration
Correct.
would have any impact on it.
Mr. Charles, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, and one thing, sure. It says that he said he's a 10-year permanent resident. What are you waiting for? Get
Yes.
your citizenship. I mean, 10-year permanent resident, get your citizenship. It'll make it easier for you to bring your kids over. It'll make it much faster. So I don't know why he would be a 10-year permanent resident and not get his citizenship. I mean, I would encourage you to get your citizenship, So you're just lucky nothing happened under Trump that could have stripped your green card. So, go ahead and get citizenship. I tell everybody this. I will sometimes believe, especially Nigerians, they think that they're going to go back to Nigeria and run for president someday, but at least get your citizenship so you're secure and nothing could, get you out of America,
Precisely. I mean, if you're a permanent resident for 5 years, you're qualified to apply for citizenship. And if you get your citizenship, the path to obtaining a green card by your relatives is easier than applying or sponsoring them as a permanent resident. So the advice is to get your citizenship first.
And everybody, thanks. Keep the questions coming. I am going to periodically put Ejiogu Associates contact information. This is why we're doing this show. We want to be able to help you, and this is their contact information. You can also always come back and watch the show later to get their information, and you have it also posted on the screen. Thank you guys for the questions. Keep them coming. So, what is the validity period of the visa, and how long can one stay in the U.S. upon entry? And what is a multiple entry visa?
Well, a visa can be issued from the consular post for anything between 1 month to 10 years. But the fact that you have a visa that is issued on your passport does not guarantee entry into the United States. You still have to get to the borders and have your I-94 form stamped for your duration of stay. That's what determines your duration of stay. For each entry, you cannot exceed 6 months of stay. That's the maximum for each entry. Even though they can exercise discretion to give you less than that, but that's the maximum you can stay per entry. A multiple entry visa simply means that you can enter the United States multiple times without having to go back to the embassy. But each time you are at the border, your passport will be looked at, and they would have to decide on your entry.
So what are the consequences of a visa overstay? Mr. Charles, you want to take that?
Yeah, I'll take that. So basically, if you stay on the visa, there are a few things that can happen. It depends how long you overstay. So there are different bars of reentry. So once you overstay, you can be barred for up to 3 years. You can be barred for up to 10 years. You can be permanently barred and not ever be able to come back to the U.S. So we always tell people, if you know or you feel you're going to be overstaying on your visa, try to get a visa extension. You can get a visa extension while you're in the United States, for maybe there's a medical reason or some other reason that will cause you to want to stay a little longer. You can make that application. I've also told people if you overstayed and left, you can still do a visa extension that will be retroactive, and then you'd be able to still, not have, sort of broken you wouldn't be overstayed if you can do that. Because then if you do that, you'll now correct the record basically, and then you'll be able to, come back. But overstaying is very, very, it's something you don't want to do, because if you do that, it just makes stuff difficult for you going forward. So I would just advise everyone, try not to overstay, try to stay within the, confines of the visa. And if you really think that you're going to have to stay longer, do a visa extension, and it doesn't cost that much to do.
Okay. I hope you guys are taking notes. This is like great information that you got getting for free on a Saturday. But please make sure you reach out to their office. Their Instagram is up, their Facebook is up, their website, their phone number. Please utilize these very intelligent gentlemen as they are giving you free information today. Pius had a comment, I believe. He said, priority dates for family-based visas have not moved for the last 3 months, even as we entered a new fiscal year at the beginning of the ban. Priority dates were moving without visas issued. Now, no move. Do you guys understand what that is about?
It's called COVID-related backlogs.
Okay.
Yes.
And even without that, you have backlogs. So there's nothing anyone can do about it. It's just backlogs.
Yeah. So is this I know COVID is still out there and they're still trying to get it under control. Is the backlog going to change any when Biden gets in, or are we expecting there to be a backlog still?
Does you want to take that? Or
that's a tough one. I don't know. I'm not sure what Biden's going to be able to do about that, because that's going to be tough. I don't think that Biden's going to be able to kind of change that. A backlog is a backlog. One thing that might happen is they might shift resources, into that, because Trump removes from processing and put in more enforcement. So with that, if Biden comes back in, put resources into processing of these applications, then it might speed things up. Will speed things up actually. So let's see what he does on that. But I'm not sure. He hasn't. That come up. And all the things that he said, that hasn't really come up, because that's pretty specific.
And I believe that answered. I actually saw Gaethje had the same question. So, Gaethje, I hope that answered your question as well about the backlog. So what do you consider an obstacle to obtaining a green card through marriage to a U.S. citizen? What are some of the obstacles people have to face with that?
Charles, you're taking that, or am I taking it?
You could go, Mr.
You want me
Nigerian.
to get it? Yeah. No, I'll take it. It's fine. Okay, sure.
Yeah. First of all, to obtain a green card through marriage, you have to establish the bona fides of the marriage. You have to establish that it's a good faith marriage, a marriage that was entered into for love and for building a family, and not for the sole benefit of obtaining immigration benefits or evading immigration laws. So you have to make sure that your marriage is legal. If you had any previous marriages, you make sure that they are all dissolved or annulled. You want to make sure that you have sufficient evidence to present to show, again, the bona fides of your marriage. You have to answer all the questions because what happens is the interviewers are trained to detect inconsistencies. Even if your marriage is valid and in good faith, no one is going to get into your head and establish that. You still have to establish it. I mean, there are strong presumptions of a good marriage. For example, if you have kids together. But if you go there without the birth certificate and all that, it will just be conjecture until you produce it.
Mm.
So you have to be prepared. You have to know your spouse in depth and detail. Because what people don't realize is that immigration officers and consular officers, they have unfettered discretion in some of these things. And so the hurdles are preparation. You have to prepare well. You have to make sure that your marriage is in good faith and is legal. And you have to have sufficient documentation.
Right. So how does that play out when it comes to if somebody's spouse is in a different country and another spouse is in the US? How does that process work? What are the obstacles in dealing with those? Mr. Charles, you can take that.
So, I mean, yeah. So if you mean by, meaning if someone's trying to bring their spouse over,
Yes.
or do you mean, what exactly do you mean by, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Trying to bring their spouse over?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, well, you definitely have to show that similar things, but it's a little bit, obviously it's a little different because that person's in a different country. But there are still proofs you have to show, like you said, that the marriage is valid, that both parties were free to be married, meaning that you weren't married to someone else, or at the time you had your divorce, and also you still have to show contact, that you guys have been communicating, that you guys have seen each other, you guys have been with each other, whatever have you. A situation where you can just say that's going to be my spouse, I'm bringing them over, and there's no connection between. You have to establish that connection. It's a little bit different, and it wouldn't be as you wouldn't have to show as much proof as if if a person lived here. It's very doable. But you still have to know that person. I'll give you an example. If you, for instance, the tax of that person might be presented, and if on that tax there's someone listed there as a dependent, and you don't know who that person is, you have them during your, trying to bring your spouse over. So your spouse has to know things about you,
like little details,
and the paperwork sometimes no. So the spouse has to know the paperwork and documentations that are being presented. So that's just one example.
Right. And okay.
Also
yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Also the processing it's different. I mean, when you have a dependent spouse or relative outside of the country, the processes are different. You file a petition for the relative, and if it's approved, it's the file is transferred to the consular post where they have their interviews, as opposed to when the relative is within the United States and the interview will take place in the US. So your interview has to be at the consular post.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Ogechi has a question. I'm going to put that up really quick. She says, any idea from one of you how much it costs nowadays for obtaining green card through a lawyer, or does it depend on the lawyer? This is a perfect question, Ogechi. Thank you.
Charles,
That's a
I'd
good
rather you take
question.
that.
Well, look, it depends on the lawyer. Yeah, it depends on the lawyer. It depends on the lawyer. But it's varying prices. It just depends on the lawyer, honestly. But I mean, I've heard very high prices. I've heard very low prices. I think as far as we're concerned, we're pretty fair. We're not the the most expensive prices, and we're not the lowest. We're pretty much, I think you get the value for what for what you pay for. So if a lawyer is coming out and he's telling you, give you $500 to process your application, well, good luck. I mean, I don't know how that's gonna work out for you, but I just it's a moderately priced. I worry about if you need to do it, you shouldn't get a lawyer to do it for you, though. Honestly, I'm not just saying that for for my own purposes. I'm just being very honest with you, because
No, if they need a lawyer, they need a lawyer. It's okay.
A good lawyer to exactly.
So I know Getty had another question. Getty, you're on the road today. Shout out to you. I don't know where you are, but thanks for tuning in. She is asking, is there still amnesty or lottery for green card anymore?
Not that I know of.
That's a good question.
Okay,
so they're saying they don't know. So okay.
No. When I say not that I know of, I mean I let me be clear, I don't think there's any.
Okay, Ogechi, I hope you picked up on that. So we are told that immigration petitions or applications can be filed without a lawyer if the instructions are carefully followed. I know we kind of answered this a little bit. Is there any truth to that, or get a lawyer is just the straightforward answer?
Obviously, people can do self-applications if they so choose. But the advantages of using a lawyer are obvious. What a lawyer does is to deploy his expertise to make sure that pitfalls are avoided. Because if you submit an application and down the line you have problems, at that time it might get too late or it might become too complicated. And of course, from an economic standpoint, you probably have to pay more, maybe out of your desperation. So if you're properly guided ab initio by an attorney, it helps, like I said, avoid pitfalls. It helps the quality of your application and documentation and your evidence. And also, with the advice of counsel, you're better prepared for the interviews. Those interviews can be brutal sometimes. So I would advise, especially the complexities that we are seeing in recent immigration world in the US.
Oh, yeah.
And Mr. Charles, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, definitely. I'll give you guys a little simple example. I had a client that they applied for their mom. Their mother, she applied for her mom to get to adjust status, and it didn't work out. And you're gonna say, well, how's that possible? It's her mom, right? I mean, she did it on
Right.
her own, but she just was missing a few forms. So
Mm.
and you know, and again, I don't even expect her to know that. She read the instructions, she did everything she thought she did right. They basically not basically, they rejected her application. So, you know, so she already spent the money, the filing fees and everything, and now had to come to me, pay the filing fees all over again. So like, it's a waste. So that's why I say it's better to just go to lawyer at first, you know, because it'll actually give you money in the long run. That's the bottom line. That's definitely the truth of the matter. So
Guys, yeah, just get a lawyer. Don't ask any questions about doing it on your own. Just save yourself time, save yourself money. I've put up that information again. Please make sure you take that information down. Give them a call. They are the experts in this. Don't try to do it on your own. I'm going to take a few more questions because we don't want to take up everybody else's Saturday today. But Wendy is asking, in your experience, what type of professionals or workers have come from Nigeria under the H-1B visa or labor certifications?
Well, um, the STEM professionals. STEM is an acronym for professionals or university graduates in the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics areas. So we've had H-1B clients that are engineers, some different areas of science in the past. I've never had an H-1B client in the arts. It has always been in the sciences, from my experience, and of course, information technology. So those are the kinds of areas, the kind of professions that we have had to deal with in the H-1B. The US labor force, of course, has a lot of demand for information technology professionals and other STEM graduates. They have been very useful to the US labor force. And that's one of the problems they have had, a lot of companies have had with the Trump administration, because the H-1B professionals help fill the talent, innovation, and creativity gaps in the economy.
But Mr. Nedum, in actuality, though, in the marketplace, is Nigeria seen as a strong force when it comes to, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics? We might know that, but the rest of the world, do they see us as a place to go to recruit people for that?
Well, Nigerians are very well educated people. We don't have as much STEM professionals as the Indians can offer, for example.
Right.
But, there are still quite a sizable number of Nigerians who have distinguished themselves in the sciences or who are science graduates. But, I mean, I would agree that for purposes of recruitment, here in the US, people always look more towards Indians and Chinese people. But if we have Nigerians that are qualified, they should just bring themselves forward and seek to get H-1B visas.
Right. Right. And I'm going to read a question from Mr. Charles. Did you want to add to that?
No, that's fine. But no, I was just saying that, Nigerians should try to, start applying for those kind of visas and, those positions, those kind of, because they're qualified. They have the skill set. So, we know that from what they've achieved within the U.S. when they've,
Right.
become green card holders or citizens or whatever have you. So we know that they have the ability. So they should actually look more towards that, because they'll be surprised that they'll they'll be very fortunate and they'll get the H-1B. So they should really look into that.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Also, just because I noticed labor certification was mentioned earlier on, I spoke about the other categories of employment-based visas. To be specific, I think it's EB2. EB2, that's second preference employment-based visas. The outstanding or professionals of exceptional ability,
okay.
the outstanding researchers, and people who have really distinguished themselves in the sciences and arts can also obtain green cards as long as they get labor certified. But a lot of people are not adequately informed about the labor certification process.
Exactly.
Yes. So when you seek, you'll get. So people should be informed and explore the opportunities offered by the labor certification process for purposes of obtaining a permanent residency status.
Okay, that's great information. Thank you for that. And Ngozi, I think she's just joining us. She has a question. She says, can you shed light on adoption immigration? Any adoption lawyers for those adopting from Nigeria? It seems the process is getting longer and longer than usual and frustrating.
Well, Charles, I know why you're smiling.
Yeah, it's reason why we're laughing. Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, exactly. Yeah, NEDUM has. Anyway, you had it. Go ahead.
No, the adoption process obviously is one of the ways of getting a green card. You had to have adopted the child before the child is age of 16 and all that. There some other requirements. Obviously, you have to show that you're fit as an adoptive parent to be able to adopt the child. But the number one problem is a requirement, something called the home study. The home study process, you have to establish that as an adoptive parent, you have the proper living conditions and the financial capacity to look after the child. You have to be investigated here in the US. Well, I don't know if I should say investigated, but you have to be properly vetted. We have to, the safety and well-being of the child has to be independently determined by the social services agencies and all that. So it takes a whole process. And also, adoption is highly regulated under the Hague Convention.
Mm.
And they have their own requirements that you have to meet. So it's becoming quite complex, but you just have to be dogged and determined and comply with the requirements. The most important thing is that you can adopt a child and bring a child to the United States, but look for the requirements. You really have to work with adoption agencies who will put you through the ropes. In fact, some adoption agencies insist that they also do the immigration process. They think they understand it better than lawyers. They may have a point.
Yeah, and is it so difficult in a way to deal with child trafficking? Is it why it's so difficult? What is the reason?
Fantastic point. Actually, that's where the Hague Convention comes in,
Right.
and other treaties which the US is a signatory. Because child trafficking, of course, is a global problem.
Right.
And it's highly regulated. So, even in your home country, from where you're bringing the child for adoption,
Mm-hmm.
the scrutiny is more intense now than it has ever been. Just to make sure that there is an integrated approach, integrated standards, common standards that you have to meet to be able to adopt a child under the Hague Convention, which is a multilateral convention that a lot of countries are signatory to.
Right. Okay. So I'm gonna take one last question, you guys. I know we can stay here all day answering your questions, but this is just an introduction to get you to know Ejiogu Associates and also to reach out to them. I hope today's show has been really helpful. You can always, reach out after the show. You can come back and watch the show, but make sure you actually follow them on social media. I'm gonna post their information again, and call. If you have any questions, they'll be able to help you. So, okay, she has a question from Viola. She's saying, what do you envisage will be the procedure for H-1B visa for students currently working with their OPT?
Okay, OPT is the optional practical training program that you get into after graduating as an F1 student.
Okay.
It's a 1-year practical training designed to obtain experience in your field of study. It's renewable for another 2 years for STEM graduates, once again. So to answer your question, you can change your status from OPT in the aftermath of your completion of studies as an F1 student. You can change your status to H-1B, especially if you're a STEM graduate.
Okay. Mr. Charles, did you want to add to that? Oh, we can't hear you. You have yourself muted. Okay, there we go.
Okay, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
You can hear me now, right?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, no, I saying that okay. No, I was just saying that what NEDUM said is obviously it's very straightforward. This is what he said is fine. I mean, that's exactly what OPT, and from there you can try to get to your H-1B. It's what he said is accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And before we begin to, I know questions are still coming in. Before we begin to wrap up the show, if there's one, I mean, there's so many important things people can take from today's show, but if there's one or two things, important things that you want people to, and each one of you can, share on this, that you want people to take away from today's discussion, what would it be? What would you say? Okay, yeah, make sure you do X, Y, Z, and yeah.
Josh, you want to go first?
Let me go first. I don't mind. I think that yes. One of the things that I really want people to kind of take away from today and just generally is a couple of things. Like, first of all, the good thing is that we have an administration that's coming in that's going to be, more sort of used to with immigration. If you go back to even past administrations, even Republican administrations like Ronald Reagan and under George Bush, they were still kind to immigrants, and that's what America's based on. If you really think about it, there's no, except for the Native Americans, every immigrant in America. So to frustrate Americans, frustrate immigrants, it's just unfair, And I'm just glad that a bit of normalcy where, we can continue building this great country. And honestly, I mean, yes, I know we're Nigerians and, and such, but, America's a great country, no matter what anyone, may think. Yes, there's problems, but overall, it's really, great that, we have a country like this that is allowing people to come in, and they should back to that. So that's, I just want people to keep that in mind. America is open again.
I like that. That should be the new slogan. America is open again.
Precisely. Folks, as Joe Biden himself would say, I hope this is not impersonation, but I would say if you have a president of the United States of America who is immigration friendly, who will accord the proper due process rights to immigrants and treat them with decency and dignity, it is big deal. And this is the time, in my view, if you are a non-immigrant visa holder, please aspire to become a green card holder. If you're a green card holder, aspire to acquire your citizenship. And with Biden's pedigree and pronouncements, I think good times are ahead. And I will advise anyone who is interested in living, working, or becoming a citizen of the United States to really keep that in mind and do their damn best.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And Harrison just typed in America is open again. So yeah, thank you everybody for watching, for tuning in, and for participating. This has been an informative show. And like I said earlier, we can literally stay here all day talking about immigration. The good thing about immigration is even if you are not an immigrant, even if you don't need the green card and all of that, it's one topic that people around you need it and you want to be informed about it. So this is why this segment today is important. So thank you, Mr. Charles. Thank you, Mr. NEDUM, for taking out your time today to inform us. And please, everybody, I hope you got the information. I have it posted one more time. This show will live on Facebook, on YouTube at The News with Obi, and on podcasts. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And if you want to get fancy, just tell Alexa to pull up The News with Obi, and it will be on podcast by tomorrow. So thank you guys for taking time out, and thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Obi, for having us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon. And for those that live in the U.S., you have a holiday coming up. Have a safe Thanksgiving. And Corona is still out there. Wear your mask and wash your hands. Have a good one, everybody.